Y'all, it's David Ducker coming back at you, and today we're going to be talking about the Amethyst Order of Death, the purple robed, sometimes black robed, death mages, people who command life force. Now, this is very different from a necromancer. Necromancers want to bring the dead back. Necromancers want to manipulate dead flesh. Whereas the Amethyst Order, their philosophy is about accepting your fate. It's about moving on. It's about helping people accept their fate. It's about helping people deal with tragedy, not to avoid it, but just to deal with it. So they tend to be very dour, very grim individuals, very realistic individuals. Their fate is fixed. Their fate is sealed, and doom is coming. And you have to learn to live with that. And that can be very heavy. The Amethyst Order is heavy. They see everything in this lens of fate, of death, of inevitability. So they don't offer you hope other than the hope of endurance, of acceptance. So they can be a lot of fun to have in the game. When you're dealing with this more philosophical style, when you're dealing with someone who wants to bring you down to reality, and they're great straight men. So you can contrast them against other people, against people who are naive, who are hopeful, who want to fight fate, who want to change their stars. And these kind of dreamers, the Amethyst Order knows that they are doomed. They won't accept their fate when they should, because only through accepting fate can you accept reality. So a lot of fun dialogue has come from having the Amethyst Order in the game. So again, they're clad in black or purple. We've given them material components made of bone. Very often a staff made of bone or topped with bone. Sometimes with a human skull. That is the symbol of death, and that is what they represent, is death and the inevitability of death. So having this staff, it's something that slows them down a little, but their philosophy, that doesn't matter. You take your time because you know where you're going in the end. So we've given them the staff, and they use that staff in various ways. Also, you can give them like a pouch of bones to perhaps consult the bones. A variety of fetishes could come into play. I believe Mike played a Amethyst mage who had all these animal skulls, like a squirrel skull and a hedgehog skull. When he cast his spells, he would crush that skull into powder. He'd throw it on the ground and he'd stomp it into powder. And by destroying it, that's how he released his magic and activated it. In terms of effect that they have, again, it's not necromancy. It's not dealing with something that's already dead. It's helping things to get into that state of death. So a lot of their magic is just about killing people. It's just straight up, your time is up. Your fate is sealed. I will cut the thread of your life now. So they've got spells like the Tide of Years, the Acceptance of Fate, the Reaping Scythe, Swift Passing. So they have a variety of things. Again, most of them are pretty straightforward. They either age you or they drain your vital essence. You do have one where they absorb your vital essence, the Steal Life spell. And they can also detect death when it's nearby. They can assess situations. Is he sick? Is he wounded? So they can read your vital essence and then help it dissipate and move on. And because of that, dealing with the living, that's very effective. But it has to be used with responsibility because that's their philosophy. This is not the bright mage throwing fire at people. This is someone who has to think before he uses his power. Is this justified? Does this serve fate? Is this the man's destiny that I should end his life? It's very slow, it's methodical. And they also have the specialty of dealing with the undead, because they consider the undead, vampires, ghouls, zombies, skeletons, dracoliches, they consider them an affront to death. People who won't accept their fate, liches and mummies. These are things that must be put down. They disrupt the order, the cycle of death and rebirth, the circle of life. They disrupt it. They're an insult to death. And remember, in Warhammer, death is also a god, and it's very likely an Amethyst mage prays to that god. It's not necessary, but it's very likely. There's a great relationship between the Temple of Mor and the Amethyst Order of Death. So these are your undead hunters. These are the people who deal double damage. These are the people who won't sympathize with a vampire at all. These are people who will help the peasants if there is a zombie apocalypse in their village. The Amethyst Order will be like the first ones on the scene. They really care about this thing. They'll petition the king for aid. They'll petition merchant guilds for aid. If you're going full libertarian in your system. And so that's about it with the Amethyst Order. Great philosophy, a lot of fun role playing. Get to be a straight man, get to kill, and get to send the dead back. We've only used them as a supporting cast. It's a little bit. It's certainly more depth there than the Bright Wizards. They can still be a little bit typecast as being these dour, taciturn kind of guys. So I don't know if there's the most depth. Certainly, I don't think as much as the Amber Order, which is my favorite order, but still a lot of fun to have around, especially in supporting roles. So let me know what you think. How do you do the Amethyst Order differently? What do you think of the way that we do it? Leave those in the comments below. And until I see you again, good day and good gaming.